If your dog becomes more affectionate when you're sick, staying closer than usual, watching you more carefully, or refusing to leave your side, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes. Because what looks like a small change in behavior may actually reveal one of the most emotional and fascinating parts of dog psychology. Most people notice it, but they don't fully understand it. They get sick. They lie down. They feel weak, tired, or emotionally drained. And suddenly, their dog starts acting differently. More gentle, more attached, more protective, more present. And the question almost every owner ends up asking is this: does my dog know I'm sick? The answer is more complex and more beautiful than most people realize. Welcome to the channel, where we explore what dogs are truly feeling through behavior, emotion, and instinct. If you want to understand your dog on a deeper emotional level, subscribe now, because some of the smallest behaviors often reveal the biggest truths about your bond. Let's talk about why your dog becomes more affectionate when you're sick. Because this behavior is not random. And by the end of this video, you may understand why your dog seems to stay closer to you when you need comfort the most. And the last reason may completely change the way you see your dog's love. 1. Your dog can tell that something about you is different. Picture this. You're sick. Maybe you have a fever. Maybe you're lying in bed longer than usual. Maybe your voice sounds weaker. Maybe your breathing is different. Maybe you're moving more slowly, speaking less, or staying unusually still. To you, those changes may feel obvious. But to your dog, they are even more obvious than you think. Because dogs do not experience you the way humans do. They do not only know you by what you say, they know you by your scent, your routine, your movement, your energy, your breathing, your voice, your tension, your pace. And when any of those things change, your dog notices. Dogs are extremely sensitive to subtle shifts in the people they are attached to. That means your dog may recognize that you are unwell long before you ever say a word. Not because they understand illness the way humans do, but because they understand change. And they understand you. This is one of the most important things dog owners miss. Your dog does not need to know the name of your sickness to respond to it. They only need to feel that your body, behavior, and emotional state are no longer the same. That is often where the increased affection begins. Because once your dog senses that something is off, their behavior may shift in response to that difference. And in a moment, I'm going to explain why some dogs do not just notice the change. They seem to feel pulled toward it. 2. Your dog may be responding to your weakness with attachment, not curiosity. This is where people often misunderstand what they're seeing. They assume the dog is just curious. Or maybe the dog is happy that you're home more. Or maybe they simply like lying on the bed. But sometimes the increase in affection is much deeper than that. When you're sick, your dog may start staying near you more often. They may follow you more slowly and quietly. They may lie beside your bed for hours. They may rest their head on you. They may watch you with unusual softness. They may stop playing as much and choose stillness instead. And what many owners do not realize is that this behavior often reflects emotional adjustment to your condition. Dogs are creatures of bond. When a bonded dog senses that their person is weaker, slower, quieter, or less emotionally steady than usual, many of them do not pull away. They move closer. Why? Because proximity is one of the clearest ways dogs respond to emotional uncertainty. When something in their world feels different, especially something connected to the person they trust most, many dogs instinctively reduce distance. Not always out of fear, not always out of anxiety, but often out of attachment. Your dog may not be thinking, "My owner is sick and needs medical care," but they may absolutely be responding to a quieter emotional message. "My person is not okay." And in dog psychology, closeness is often the answer to that message. That is why some dogs become more affectionate when you're sick. Because when they sense vulnerability, their instinct is not always to investigate. Sometimes it is to stay. And that says something powerful about your bond. Because affection in this moment is not always excitement. Sometimes it is presence. And there is a big difference between those two things. 3. Your dog may be trying to regulate both you and themselves. This is the part that surprises many people. Because when a dog becomes more affectionate during illness, the behavior often feels almost intentional. They stay beside you. They keep checking on you. They lick your hand. They curl up against you. They follow you to the bathroom. They sleep outside your door. And it can feel as if they are trying to comfort you. Now, we need to be careful not to turn dogs into tiny human nurses. Dogs do not think about caregiving the way humans do. But that does not mean nothing emotional is happening. In fact, something very important may be happening. Dogs often use closeness to regulate stress, uncertainty, and emotional tension. That means when your energy changes, your dog may be affected too. They sense the shift. They feel the atmosphere become quieter, heavier, or less normal. And their response may be to stay near the center of that change. This can help explain why some dogs seem unusually calm, gentle, or watchful when their person is sick. They're not necessarily solving the problem. They are orienting themselves toward it. And because you are the emotional anchor in their world, staying close may help them make sense of what feels different. This is why affection during sickness can work in two directions at once. Your dog may be drawn to comfort you, and your dog may also be drawn to comfort themselves through closeness to you. That does not make the behavior less meaningful. It makes it more real, because attachment is not one-sided. When you and your dog have a strong bond, emotional changes in one of you often affect the other. If this has happened to you, tell me in the comments. Does your dog become more affectionate when you're sick? I'd love to know what they do differently. Now, here's where the psychology gets even deeper. Because not all affectionate behavior during illness looks the same. And what your dog chooses to do can reveal a lot about how they express connection. 4. Not every dog comforts the same way. This is so important, because one of the biggest mistakes owners make is assuming there is only one caring behavior to look for. Some people say, "My dog didn't lick me or cuddle me, so maybe they didn't notice." But dogs have different emotional styles. One dog may climb onto the bed and press their body against you. Another may lie quietly on the floor beside your bed for hours. Another may keep checking the door and then returning to you. Another may stare at you more often than usual. Another may become very gentle and still. Another may simply stop leaving your side. These are not small differences. They are expressions of personality, attachment style, and emotional habit. A physically affectionate dog may respond to your sickness with touch. A more independent dog may respond with presence. A watchful dog may respond by monitoring you. A nervous dog may become clingier because your condition makes the world feel less predictable. The important thing is not whether your dog comforts you in the exact way people expect. The important thing is whether their behavior shifts meaningfully when you are unwell. That shift is often the message. And once you understand that, you stop looking for one perfect sign. You start seeing the emotional pattern underneath. Your dog noticed. Your dog adapted. Your dog moved closer, in whatever way closeness makes sense for them. And that brings us to one of the most misunderstood parts of this behavior. Because sometimes, what looks like affection is not just love. It is also protection. 5. Your dog may be acting more affectionate because you seem vulnerable. This is where the behavior becomes even more powerful. Dogs are highly sensitive to strength, weakness, and stability inside their environment. When you're healthy, active, and emotionally normal, your dog reads you one way. But when you're weak, lying down, moving slowly, or sounding different, your dog may read you in an entirely different way. Not as broken, not as someone they no longer recognize, but as someone more fragile than usual, and that can activate a different emotional response. Some dogs become more watchful, more alert when other people come near, more likely to stay between you and the doorway, more likely to remain physically close when you rest, more likely to keep checking on you. This is not always full protection in the dramatic sense people imagine. It is often softer than that. A dog who lies across the bedroom doorway, a dog who keeps returning to your side, a dog who sits facing outward while you sleep, a dog who becomes unusually attentive to movement around you. These behaviors may not mean your dog thinks you are in danger in a human way, but they may absolutely reflect an instinctive response to vulnerability. And that is one reason affection often becomes stronger during sickness. Because vulnerability can intensify attachment behavior. Your dog may not understand what illness is, but they may understand this. You are not at your strongest right now, and they want to stay near. That may be one of the most moving truths in dog psychology. Not because dogs are trying to be heroes, but because closeness is one of the deepest forms of response they know. And the final reason this behavior matters may be the most emotional one of all. 6. When you're sick, your dog may be showing you what love looks like in their language. This is the part that stays with people, because it turns an ordinary sick day into something much more meaningful. You're tired. You feel terrible. The day is slow. The room is quiet. And through all of it, your dog keeps coming back. They check on you. They settle near you. They wait outside the door. They rest their head beside you. They choose you again and again. And maybe in that moment, you realize something. Your dog does not need to understand human illness perfectly to respond with something deeply emotional. They only need to know that you are different, that you are quieter, that you are weaker, that your world has shifted. And in response, they do what dogs have always done at their most honest. They move toward the bond. They stay close to what matters. They use presence as communication. They use affection as reassurance. They use proximity as love. That is why this behavior feels so powerful to people. Because when we are sick, we are often at our lowest, most vulnerable, and most emotionally exposed. And in those moments, a dog who chooses to stay near us can feel like a kind of silent comfort that words cannot replace. Not because they are human, but because they are deeply connected. So if your dog becomes more affectionate when you're sick, do not dismiss it as random. Do not assume it means nothing. Your dog may be responding to your scent, your tone, your weakness, your stillness, your energy, your routine, or your emotional state. But underneath all of that, one truth may remain. Your dog noticed, and your dog chose closeness. That is not a small thing. That is attachment. That is emotional sensitivity. That is trust. And for many people, that is one of the most beautiful parts of living with a dog. If this video helped you understand your dog more deeply, subscribe for more videos about dog psychology, dog behavior, and the emotional bond between dogs and their humans. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what does your dog do when you're sick? Do they stay in bed with you, follow you everywhere, lick your hand, or quietly watch over you? Because sometimes, the way dogs care for us says everything about how deeply they feel connected.